Hi guys, hello, 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 hello. Okay, alright, let us begin here for First Kings. This is where Solomon is finishing the construction of his palace and the temple of the Lord. So as you can imagine, and based off of what we discussed, this is a time of prosperity because he is appointing others to collaborate with him in this mission. So he's using lots of teamwork, right, to go ahead and collaborate this mission here of building the temple and his palace. It's a time of prosperity for sure. So like what we were talking about in our introduction video, when we have excess, right, when we have a time of prosperity, it's best not to see that as a distraction, right, and use it as a time to love others. So with that, I'll start out with this quote. It says, "Let those love now who've never loved before. Let those who always loved now love more." This is from Pervigillium, Veneris 1, translated by Parnell from William Arabin, 1773 to 1841. Okay. Let those love now who never loved before. Let those who always loved now love more. So that is a good remedy from what we were talking about, is when there is excess, when there are glad tidings, use that as a time to love, to give, to provide, to share, to join with others, join hands with others, and love each other, really. That is the best way and the best remedy to stray from distraction, to stray from selfishness, right, greed, all of those things that can prove of excess and things like that. We use that as a time to express love instead. Okay? So let's go ahead and begin with chapter 7 and start out with what had happened here. It says, "It took Solomon 13 years, however, to complete the construction of his palace. He built the throne hall, the hall of justice, where he was to judge, and he covered it with cedar from floor to ceiling. King Solomon sent to Tyre and brought Huram, whose mother was a widow from the tribe of Nephtali, and his father was from Tyre, and a skilled craftsman in bronze. Huram was filled with wisdom, with understanding, and with knowledge to do all kinds of bronze work. He came to King Solomon and did all the work assigned to him. A network of interwoven chains adorned the capitals on top of the pillars, 7 for each capital. He also made 10 movable stands of bronze. Each was 4 cubits long, 4 wide, and 3 high. This is the way he made the 10 stands. They were all cast in the same mold and were identical in size and shape." So he finished the construction of his palace, right? And he's finishing now the temple, which he had assigned here the person Huram to finish the bronze work inside the temple. We read about last were the cherubims that were in the temple, right, on the back-facing wall, big enough to fill the back-facing wall and touch its wings from edge to edge. Below that, we are going to find that the Ark of the Covenant would be below that here. So really, this is the first church, you guys. This is why it's a big deal. It was a big deal to God, right, when King David said, "I'm going to build you a house," and he had the idea to build the Lord a house. Previously, although the Lord is all-knowing, all-wise, he was not really expecting King David to go ahead and just be birthed with that idea. That came as a beautiful surprise to the Lord. Although we say the Lord can't really ever be surprised, but it was a comforting notion from King David, and it led him to want to pursue it even further. Because they were so war-stricken, King David could not really continue that mission, so he had passed along the plans and the ideas to King Solomon, which is a beautiful thing now that he's working on finishing that. Yes. Yes.
When you finish, come take a picture with your phone. At the top board is not going down now, and the toilet.
Okay. All right. Okay. So it's a beautiful thing. He's continuing this mission, right? Let's go ahead and continue. Solomon left all these things unweighed because they were so many. The weight of the bronze was not determined. When all the work King Solomon had done for the temple of the Lord was finished, he brought in the things his father David had dedicated, the silver and gold furnishings, and he placed them in the treasuries of the Lord's temple. So this was really the one benefit of going through all these battles and these wars and these undertakings while King David was still alive, is they had lots of loot to go ahead and store in the temple, right? Lots of silver and gold furnishings, lots of treasure really to break down and provide that to the Lord and dedicate that to the Lord. It says here, then King Solomon summoned into his presence at Jerusalem the elders of Israel, and all the heads of the tribes and chiefs of the Israelite families, to bring up the ark of the Lord's covenant from Zion, the city of David. The cherubim spread their wings over the place of the ark, and overshadowed the ark and its carrying poles. While the whole assembly of Israel was standing there, the king turned and blessed them. My father David had it in its heart to build a temple for the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. I have provided a place there for the ark, and which is the covenant of the Lord that he made with our ancestors when he brought them out of Egypt. Then Solomon stood before the altar of the Lord, and in front of the whole assembly of Israel, spread out his hands towards heaven and said, But will God really dwell on earth? The heavens, even the highest heavens, cannot contain you. How much less this temple I have built? So first he blesses the people. If you go into chapter 8, hey E. So noisy. I'm sorry. I guess it's a little bit untimely here to be doing a bunch of things. Anyways, love. First he blesses the people. He's so excited and he feels so accomplished that he can finish all these things within the temple. Give me one moment. Hey Ian. Thank you. This is really not cool. You need to be close to me, please. We're having a bit of a bathroom trouble this morning. Okay, anyways, as soon as he blesses the people, right, he turns around and faces the ark and starts praying to the Lord. And the same thing with David when he had those feelings of lack of worthiness, right? Solomon is feeling the same way. Even though they built this extravagant and beautiful temple, he's having these feelings like, well, was it worth it, basically? Will God really dwell on earth, right? Will he appreciate this, what we have done, right? He's so grand and he's so great. Will he be able to dwell really in this temple here on earth? So he continues his prayer, right? Slight feelings of unworthiness. He continues with his prayer. When famine or plague When famine or plague comes to the land, or blight or mildew, locusts or grasshoppers, or when an enemy besieges them in any of their cities, whatever disaster or disease may come, hear from heaven your dwelling place, for all they do, since you know their hearts, for you alone know every human heart, so that they will fear you all the time they live in the land you gave our ancestors. And if they have a change of heart in the land where they are held captive, and repent and plea with you in the land of their captors and say, We have sinned, we have done wrong, and we have acted wickedly, then from heaven your dwelling place, hear their prayer and their plea, and uphold their cause. When Solomon had finished these prayers and supplications to the Lord, he rose from before the altar of the Lord, where he had been kneeling with his hands spread out toward heaven. he stood and blessed the whole assembly of Israel in a loud voice, saying, May the Lord of our God be with us as he was with our ancestors. May he never leave us nor forsake us. Okay, wonderful. So he has a moment, right? He has a moment with the people. He has a moment for the Lord. It's really almost a celebration of sorts, right? When they finished building everything, it was kind of the grand opening, right? So it says here, when Solomon had finished building the temple of the Lord in the royal palace and had achieved all he desired to do, the Lord appeared to him a second time as he appeared to him at Gibeon. Alright, so at this point, right, the Lord is appearing to Solomon in dreams. He did it once before, and he's going to do it again. The first time he was young, he was a little child, in his late teens, and he asks Solomon, the Lord asks Solomon, what would you like, right? And Solomon responds, please give me a discerning heart, right? Being able to judge everybody appropriately and fairly, and the Lord gives him much beyond that, as we will soon learn. It says here, the Lord said to him in the second visitation within a dream, I have heard the prayer and plea you have made before me. I have consecrated this temple which you have built by putting my name there forever. My eyes and my heart will always be there. Okay, so wonderful. He answers Solomon and says, well, I might not be there physically to dwell, right? My eyes and my heart will be there, and regardless, I will hear you. But, he says, but if you or your descendants turn away from me and do not observe the commands or decrees I have given you, and go off to serve other gods and worship them, then I will cut off Israel from the land I have given them, and I will reject this temple I have consecrated for my name. Israel will then become a byword, an object of ridicule among all peoples. People will answer, because they have forsaken the Lord their God, who brought their ancestors out of Egypt, and have embraced other gods, worshipping and serving them. That is why the Lord had brought all this disaster on them. Okay, so he gives them a condition. I hate to say it, God's love is always and ever and forever will be unconditional, right? But he says, if you want me to go ahead and focus, right, my energy, my attention, my love so wholeheartedly on these people of Israel, I ask that also in return from you, right? So he loves his people, right? He loves his people. He would just want that love to be returned continually. If it's not returned, and the people have forgotten about him, have forgotten him, then how could he afford to return all that love time and time again? So again, he always does, right? It's not really a thing of, oh, he loves us not. But again, if we want the Lord to go ahead and serve us, we best serve him. So that is really that, and he just is reminding the people of this because he knows there will be some faltering, there will be some missteps, and he will say, don't come to me and don't complain to me when all this is happening, because you'll already know the answer as to why, right? Why is this happening? You'll know why, okay? Still goes on today, ladies and gentlemen. They say, I warned you, or I've talked to you, I shouldn't even say warned, I've talked to you about the idolatry, right? I've talked to you about how that takes place in our modern day, even though we don't really pray to stone idols or anything like that anymore. I warned you how it does take place today. So that is that. Very distracted this morning, you guys. I apologize. I did want to get this word out since it was already ready and good to go. Just checking the time here. Talk about distraction, right? I was just telling myself about that. But I am very short on time, you guys. I do have to go. Thank you all for listening. I hope you have a wonderful start to your week and stay awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye.